And now, man, we are turning our attention to the waiver wire.
Let's do this. So yeah, we're gonna start with a guy who was in our rivals of the week. I'm gonna ride the hot hand, like I said. So Eddie Rosario, outfielder for the Washington Nationals. The last week, his last I think 5 games he played last week, hitting nearly 500, 400 BABIP, and 3 stolen bases. So he struck out only twice in those 5 games as well. So very nice uptick for him. His season-long BABIP is 169, so he might be a little bit of a dicier pick in a roto situation. If you're worried about your average, if you're playing in a batting average league, right? But as far as points go, I'll take the shot on him. He's not striking out, so he's not going to get you negative points, which I like in most formats. So I'll definitely take a shot on Rosario, especially if you need outfield help. If you're in a 5 outfielder league, you can do a lot worse than him right now. And then if he starts struggling, he's an easy cut. So this is a high, low risk, high reward situation.
Yeah. Shout out to him, man. It's good to see it. Like I said, like we said in the beginning, man, it's good to see this stuff happening. Yeah. We do have an Astro who made the list.
Yes.
And a big bad Astro.
And I did this purely because of the bat flips. If you guys aren't watching John Singleton hit absolute nukes off the bat, you should be. The dude's bat flips are ridiculous. They're so fun. It's so fun when John Singleton hits a home run. So the reason I put him in here, though, is he's a good source of power, which is hard to find sometimes on the waivers. So he's going to probably be a better points guy, or roto leagues if you can punt a little bit on your batting average. So he's not going to be a great hit for average guy. He's going to hit for power. He's going to get you some ribbies based on where he's hitting in that lineup. And it's also interesting because he has taken the first base spot. So when Joey Loperfido got called up, we thought, maybe he would split time with Singleton. He would platoon in the outfield as well. He's just been an outfielder so far. So this is Singleton's job to lose as of right now, which doesn't mean much for the Astros considering their record. But, go watch the bat flips. Go to Twitter and watch the bat flips. It's worth it alone to have him on your team.
Gotta have something to watch, man.
Yeah, right. You gotta have something to cheer for.
You gotta have something to watch. So. Another guy on the list, Max Kepler, hitting it. He's hitting it, man.
I feel like this happens every season. Is we just like leave Max Kepler for dead, and then we, May rolls around, and all of a sudden he just comes back into fantasy relevance, which is what he has done here again. 14-game hitting streak. Sub 17% strikeout rate. So I think he's a better points player than a roto player, but especially if you're in a 5 outfielder league or you need some outfield reinforcement, just grab Max Kepler. He's not flashy, but he's going to get the job done for you.
Yeah. Hey, Twins have some things to look forward to right now, huh? Max Kepler. We just talked about what's his name earlier, the pitcher, Ober. Yeah, so they got some highlights in the episode. We haven't talked about the Twins players in a while on the show, so
no, they've struggled, but there's a reason the Twins have won the AL Central the last few years. They always figure it out. They're a good squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another guy on the list, Josh Rojas, Seattle.
So former Astro. So I'm doing the Neil thing now.
There we go.
But no, he's got so JP Crawford is out right now. So Rojas got bumped up to leadoff over the weekend. So that plus the fact that he's second base and third base eligible, I think is really good for Rojas if you need a middle or a corner infielder. I think he's probably going to be good regardless of your format. And he could lose time as he regresses, but he's not chasing as much as he has historically, which has been really good. His chasing strike rate is much, much lower than normal. So, ride the hot hand. It's a good lineup. He's hitting at the top, so he's going to score some runs. He's going to get on base. So solid for Roto in that scenario.
Yeah, since I'm the guy that always brings up, former players on my team, let us know in the comments, man. When you see a player go from your favorite team to another team, whether it's a trade, whether he just leaves in free agency, whatever it is, do you guys get like, are you hateful towards the player? Like, do you get a little salty about seeing him play well? Are you happy for the player? Like, I'm just curious what most fans feel. Cause I of course feel bitter over here when a player leaves the Mets and then they go out there and they're balling all over the place. But I'm just curious, like, are most fans happy for the guy or are they bitter like me? I'm just curious, So drop it in the comments. Let us know.
Let us know.
So we had some honorable mentions too, right?
Yeah. So, and you'll see a lot of these guys in the waiver wire article that will go up after the show. But guys who, so just so everyone knows too, I'm going to caveat some of these are likely stashed or on other rosters, but sometimes they got released as a result of injuries. So, like
Right.
Zach Geloff, the second baseman for the Athletics, he played 2 games this weekend in a rehab assignment. Would be shocked if he wasn't activated this week. Check if he's available, right? We didn't talk about him last week, but Johnny DeLuca for outfielder for the Rays.
Mhm.
He's getting a lot of playing time. He's been really solid so far. He's performing across the board. Really like what he's doing, and his mustache is just like it's classic. So definitely love that.
Yeah.
And you got guys like Zach Neto, shortstop. Like I said, thin position on the waivers. Abraham Toro for the Athletics as well. He's getting a lot of playing time. And then Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham, great categories guy, plays for the White Sox. He's going to play. Like they
Right.
signed him to be their everyday outfielder. So don't shy away from Tommy Pham right now.
Absolutely. And I think actually, if I recall properly, in our comments last week, there was someone who said Leduca anyone. So,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, DeLuca,
that's one of those things too. Like when we drop our waiver episode or from this episode, there's always comments about players that we may not have either mentioned or we glossed over. So he was one of the guys that did get mentioned from last week that I remember.
Yeah. No, and it was a good call, and he's been performing. It's hard when you don't know if a guy's going to have an everyday spot. So I think DeLuca is working his way towards that. So I think we can confidently pick him up now.
Yeah. And a nod to the chat. You guys are smart. You guys are good at this, man. That's
We
why I
we
like
got
our
smart people in here,
that's
dude.
why I like the
No
people who
dummies
watch our
watching Rival Fantasy.
yeah, yeah. If you're watching this show, listen, I see you in the comments. I see you in the chat live. I see you in the comments after the videos. You guys are on the ball. You deserve some air horns for that, guys. Definitely got some of the best viewers out there, man. It just is a fact. It's a
Damn
fact. You
straight.
guys are on your game, man.
Damn straight.
How about some prospects?
Yeah, so it'll be a repeat from last week. I'm going to get the name correct. Junior Camarino, third baseman for the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't know how they don't call him up soon. I think they're just not getting the production they need out of that lineup. They need a spark, and
Yeah.
I think he'll do it. He's making AAA look silly at this point. So let's get him up, and then Orelvis Martinez. I believe I'm saying his name right. Infielder for the Blue Jays. The dude is just mashing baseballs. I think he already has 10 home runs. Like he's already in double-digit homers. And I think it was like 30 something games in AAA so far. So look, I know he's got a high strikeout rate. Like he does chase a little bit, but he's a kid, right? Like that's what happens with these young players. So I would be shocked if he's not up by probably mid June. So go ahead and I think you can stash him unless you really need the bench spot.
Yeah.
And then,
so
sorry, go ahead, Neil.
No, I was just saying these guys you mentioned, like you said, like what they're doing in right now in the minors is undeniable. So at this point, it's just a wait and see thing. Nothing else you could do,
It's a when, not if.
Right.
So, and then last, Tyler Black, we mentioned it. He got sent back down due to the Yelich activation. Again, I think he's a good enough hitter. He was also making AAA pitching look silly. So,
right.
This is a product of most likely they want him to stay hot and to keep his rhythm at the plate. So he's going to get sent back down. He's still probably going to mash, and then he'll get called back up eventually, whether that's an injury, whether that's a trade. We don't know what they're in that limbo right now in Milwaukee. Like, are they going to buy or sell at the deadline? We don't know. So could open up a spot for him if they go for broke.
Yeah, definitely interesting to watch. All right. Let's move over to some pitchers, man. We got some exciting pitchers on the list here. So let's start with, what do you think? Reese Olson,
man, what a job the Tigers have done. I think we talked about it last week too, but the Tigers just have a really great staff. I think Olson, these guys won't be like super widely available, but I still think they're under 50% owned in most leagues, depending on the platform you play on. They're staying competitive in most of their games. So I love their pitching, and I'm grabbing a piece wherever I can. And I think Reese Olson is probably the most widely available. Him, and if Flaherty's still out there, obviously go get him too. But Olson's a really nice pickup this week.
All right, cool. Who do you have as your second pickup and hitter?
So this week we got Dean Kremer. I think it's just a joke at this point that every week it's a different Oriole on the waivers. But yeah, Dean Kremer has just been really great. He's probably more widely owned as well, but he's not owned enough, depending on the platform you play on. If you're in super deep leagues, right? Like obviously he's going to be rostered. But again, another guy, he had one bump in the road and otherwise around 2 or 3 earned runs per start. His K per nine is at 9.2, so he's striking guys out at a decent clip. 1.02 whip so far. So like not giving up a ton of walks and hits, solid categories and roto guy. He's got that lineup behind him. So Dean Kremer is absolutely a guy you should look for on your wire.
Absolutely. And then the last guy on the waiver that made your top 3. Listen, man, I don't know if I should do applause. I don't know if I should do air horns. I don't know if I should do both. But listen, we're the Taj Bradley boys, man.
Taj Bradley boys victory lap is here. Now look, if you watch baseball, like obviously this isn't that much of a surprise.
No.
But we're still going to take the victory lap because if he was not rostered, that was dumb. And if he's still not rostered, it's even more dumb. So, yeah. So against the Yankees, right? First start, he got thrown into the fire, 7 strikeouts. He gave up 1 earned run and got the loss. So the Rays just absolutely crapped the bed for his first start. But yeah, Taj Bradley he's my top ad if he's available anywhere. There's no reason he should not be rostered. He had a 30% called strike and whiff rate in that game against the Yankees. So if your league mates are sleeping, make sure you're awake and go get Taj on your team. But there are very few. I said it last week. Like I would cut some pretty big name guys to get Taj Bradley if I had to, depending on my bench size.
Yeah, like I said, man. Again, this was a good sign for those who are playing on rival games, even for again for challenges. Like you're taking all of Taj Bradley sides. Like it was great to see. Again, I'll be using him in bingo, and then in the best ball drafts. Like in the best ball drafts on Rival Fantasy, Taj Bradley is now safe to go, man. Like you don't have to be scared. You don't have to be concerned. Like again, like you said, they didn't support him on from runs, but like Bradley was awesome, like we were expecting. I mean,
and like you gotta take the good with the bad. Like this Rays team somewhat underperforms on offense, but I don't really care. Like, yeah, he may not get the win, but everything else is going to be so good that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me some honorable mentions. After these honorable mentions, we'll give a quick mention to 2-start pitchers, and then we'll just see what the chat has popping. We'll answer some chat questions. We'll see what they're talking about, and then we'll jump into some Rival Fantasy games. Let's see what we got here.
Yep, honorable mentions. 2 of these guys, they're just check and see if they're available. Ryan Pepio for the Tampa Bay Rays. He was on the IL. Just see if he was dropped because he will likely be activated as soon as he can. Paul Skeens, if someone dumped him because they saw 4.1 innings, didn't get a win, or 4+, and he didn't get a win, like just pick him up, like just in case. Okay. Then Zach Littell for the Rays as well. And then Sean Manaea for the Mets. Manaea's been really good. So you can't shy away from the fact that he's been a stud on the mound. So I love what we're seeing with him.
Absolutely. And then my favorite thing, 2-start guys, just any that we should shout out really quick.
Yeah, so a lot of these 2-start guys, remember we're talking about them in a DFS capacity for like weekly drafts, bingo, stuff like that.
Right.
So Shota Imanaga, if I was guessing, I think he should win Rookie of the Year. He might win a Cy Young. He gets 2 starts this week, love him. Cutter Crawford, 2 starts this week, love him. Zach Eflin, 2 starts this week. First start is also today against Cutter Crawford, so that's a really nice pitching matchup. Zach Littell, we just talked about. Ronel Blanco for the Astros. I wouldn't normally put him in here, but he gets the Athletics and the Brewers this week at home in Houston. So 2 really nice matchups for him. And then Jordan Montgomery for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Nice.